Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first video of mine you are seeing, then welcome. So I have the new Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Nature palette, and this palette is absolutely beautiful. Let me turn it this way so I can show you better. This is so beautiful. The moment he announced this, I knew that I wanted this palette because I have his other two and they are just as equally beautiful. Now, at the time that I am filming this part of the video, I have not yet swatched this palette at all. But what I'm going to be doing, I have his other two Ethereal Eyes palettes. So the first thing I'm going to do here is show you these palettes kind of side by side so you can just see them this way. We're going to do that first. So here we have the Nature palette and the original Ethereal Eyes on this side. So it's so hard to show you because my ring light is really reflective of these palettes, but I'm hoping you can kind of see them side by side like that just so you can see a comparison. And then of course we have the other Ethereal Eyes palette, which is the Moonlight version. Now this one is a lot more cooler tone. I'm so sorry about the glare, but these palettes are so reflective. I'm hoping you can see it like that here. I just wanted to hold these palettes up side by side so you can see them this way. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a clip right here where you can see the swatches of the Nature palette. And then right after that I'm going to do like a split screen and show you the Nature palette swatched out in comparison to the original Ethereal Eyes, as well as the Moonlight version too, so you can just see the shades. So if you have the first two palettes and you just want to see some comparisons, I wanted to show you those swatches right here so you can see them all swatched out together. I do love these palettes from him. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I look forward to them now. I'm hoping he continues to release them every year. I wish he'd make them permanent, but you know. So what I'd like to do is at least two different looks. I wanted to focus maybe one look on these 6 shades and then one look on these 6. Now I am wearing this cute little green butterfly clip today, so I really want to use this more greenish sparkly shade first. So I think what I'm going to do today is focus more so on this grouping right here. Okay, so this shade looks awfully similar to my skin tone, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix these two shades right here on a Sigma E54. I have already set my concealer down on my eyes. Now this side over here for some reason ended up looking kind of cakey. I think that when I went to set this side, there was still some setting spray still sitting on my lid along with that concealer, and I think that's what caused that because it didn't do that over here. So just keep that in mind if you see that. That has nothing to do with the eyeshadow itself. So I dipped a few times into that matte shade and then went in once to the shade that looks very similar to my skin tone, maybe like a touch darker. I'm just going to run these into my crease. Have any of you picked up this eyeshadow palette, or are you thinking about it or so? I think it's so beautiful. I mean, at least just looking at it. Of course, I haven't used it yet, but I mean, it's one of those palettes where you kind of know already that it's going to be really beautiful to work with. I don't know how this eyeshadow might lay on this side because of how kind of cakey things got over here, but I'm not going to fault anything. I'm just going to judge the palette based on this eye only over here in case it does something weird on this side, and it might not. Sometimes I've had that happen in the past, but then once you put eyeshadow on, you don't notice it at all. It's actually laying really nicely. I didn't know how it might perform over that kind of cakiness that was going on over there. It looks fine, blending out really beautifully. Okay, now here's where I need to figure out how I want to do this because I really want this shade. Should I place that all over the lid and then go in with that a little bit on top? This shade I might reserve for the lower lash line because, I mean, you know, I'm more interested in seeing how these greens perform. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is go into this shade right here on my finger. And by the way, I have little ghosties on the nails this time. I get asked about my nails a lot, so I'm trying to mention them a little bit more in the video, even though they're always in the description box, but I believe these are called Cheeky, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I'll correct myself right here, but they're from the Impress line. Oh, that's so pretty. Look at that. Oh, that's pretty. All right, let's just place that all over the lid. Oh my goodness, that is gorgeous. Oh, that's so pretty. Of course, I mean, I expected nothing less. I'm going to go in with this shade just all over the lid. Just go ahead and put that down because I really wanted to see how that shade looked on its own. And then I'm going to go in with that lighter color shimmer on the inner part. just to see. But I wanted to see this shade first by itself, and that is beautiful. I knew it would be stunning. And if you have some of these palettes, the shimmers just feel so soft to the touch. Like very lightweight, like a very lightweight formula. I'm hoping that makes sense. If you've never tried one of these Ethereal Eyes palettes, I just kind of wanted to describe it. That is a beautiful shade. Look at that. It's so beautiful. Now, these are more like, I don't want to call them toppers, at least not this shade. I don't want to call it a topper, but it is a shade that you do need to build up a little bit. I'm perfectly fine with that, but if you're wanting like true metallic, these are definitely not shades you probably would like if you were looking more for that metallic look. Now for me, I love sparkly shades like this that are very thin and lightweight because I like to just use some neutral mattes and then pop something like this over the top of them, and then I'm good to go. Now we are going to go into this shade right here. I'm going to take that on my finger as well. And then I'm going to place that on this beginning half of the lid. We're going to see how that looks. It might not show up too much over the top. Yeah, I don't know if it will or not. But if it doesn't, it's okay because I will definitely be using this palette again. Yeah, I don't know if you can really tell. It's a lot lighter, I think, than the other shades, so putting that shade underneath, you're probably not going to really be able to see it. So I'll tell you what, let's pop it right here on this inner corner. There, you can see how beautiful it is right there. Oh, it's so pretty. I don't think, yeah, you can tell too much with it on the lid because of the other shade, but as an inner corner, it's really, really stunning. But I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to place it over the top, even though you can't really tell much of a difference with it over this other green shade. But we're still just going to do it to match. And of course, we're going to pop that on the inner corner here. It's so pretty on that inner corner. Okay, and on that same Sigma brush, I'm going to take this shade right here from the palette. And we're going to see if that shows up with the brush. Oh yeah, it is showing up. That's pretty. Ooh, look at that shade. Oh, that's stunning. Yeah, it definitely is showing up beautifully with the brush. I didn't know if it would be better with a finger because at this point I have not swatched this palette out yet. Okay, and then on a ColourPop E6, which is just a small angled brush, I'm going to go into this deepest matte right here. And we're going to use that as liner. I also saw when I purchased this palette that he has released his Master Mascara in a brown. I definitely want that mascara because I love the one I have now in the black shade, and I definitely want it in a brown, but I didn't pick it up when I bought the palette because I don't think that's limited edition, whereas this palette is, and I didn't want to miss out on the palette. But I'm going to wait and maybe hopefully pick up the mascara during the Sephora sale, which is coming up at the end of, I think for if you're Rouge, it starts October 31st, I believe. And I'm going to wait for this sale to pick up the mascara. Okay, so here's this eye look. I think it's so pretty. I really do like this. And I love that shade on the lower lash line. Like, that is a really pretty tone. I don't know how to describe that shade. It's like it has a little bit of burgundy in it, but it's like a burgundy brown. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but I really love this. So I'm going to go ahead and do my mascara, and then I've got to do blush and everything because I haven't even done the rest of my face steps. I've just done a little bit of foundation, which was just a concealer. So let me do the rest of my face, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is this completed look. I really think it's so pretty. I mean, look how stunning that green shade is. It's so stunning. I love it. So for blush, I'm wearing the Glossier Cloud Paint Plush Blush, and this one is in the shade Puff. Between this one and the Danessa Myricks Lowlighter in Unbothered, I've just been rotating between the two of them like daily. They are so pretty, and they've just quickly become some of my favorites. I just think this is so stunning. It's such a pretty shade. Now on the lips, I'm wearing the Rare Beauty Kind Words Matte Lip Liner in Creative. And over the top of that, I'm wearing the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in the shade Hot Chocolate Fantasy. I thought this color, you can see it here in the tube, it really matched the shade that's on that lower lash line, so I thought it would be really pretty over the top of this lip liner. But yeah, I do like this look. I love that green shade. It's so pretty. I know the other shade didn't really show up over the top, but it is pretty on the inner corner. So tomorrow I plan on doing a look with these 6 shades over here. That's probably going to be a little bit softer than this, even though I think this is super pretty. To me, this is still has a slight moodiness to it, but it's also still super soft, which is, I love that. I prefer it, but I think it's so pretty and I do love it. So I cannot wait to play with this palette again tomorrow. Okay, so we're on to look number 2, and I really want to focus on these 6 shades right here in the palette. So let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, that first shade right here is basically like my skin tone shade, but it's filled with a lot of sparkle in it. So I think what I'm going to do, yeah, we're just going to start with this shade right here first on a Sigma E54. And I'm going to run that into my crease. Oh, that's pigmented. But it felt very soft in the pan. There was some kick up because the shade is very, very soft. So I wiped that brush off some and I'm going back in just to blend a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is go in with the same brush into this shade right here. I know this shade has some sparkle in it, but it's like my skin tone, so I'm just going to use it to blend around the edges. And if it adds sparkle, I'm completely okay with that. A little sparkle never hurt anyone. I know I've only created one other look with this palette, but I really have enjoyed using it like already, and I think that's a good telling sign if you really like a product that you're ready to use it again. I want to film more looks with it. I know I'm only doing 2 here. I was just trying to at least use each shade in the palette once, but I got a video coming up soon where I am reviewing and testing out a kind of a larger collection. It's a drugstore makeup collection and there's quite a lot of products in it, so it's probably going to take me maybe 2 or 3 days depending to film for that because, I mean, you know, it's kind of a nice size collection. I'm trying to space my time out evenly so I can have enough days to film. And if you are curious as to what that is, and by the way, I went back in with that skin tone shade that has the glitter in it and I'm just going around the edges. If you are curious as to what that collection is, Wet n Wild has recently released their My Melody and Kuromi collection, but this is their second collection with them. However, I like the way they did it this time. They separated the collection out so each character got her own collection. So I picked up all of the My Melody stuff because she's so cute and she's pink. Now, Kuromi is super cute, super, super cute, but her stuff is like purple. Like her eyeshadow palette and everything was more on the purple side, and I'm not a huge purple person. I think purple is pretty, but I know myself and I'm much more of a neutral. Whereas My Melody, while her palette, of course, leans more pink, it is more on the neutral side. So I just picked up all of her stuff and I cannot wait to review it. I've just had it sitting here. I hadn't touched it yet because I wanted to film some other videos, but I cannot wait to use it. Okay, I'm going to go into this shade right here on my finger. And I'm going to press that on the outer half of this lid. These shades pick up better with a finger, I feel like, so that's why I'm using this. And thank goodness I wore these shorter press-ons, but one reason why I wore these pretty pink ones is because I thought it would be really cute when I'm filming the My Melody collection video because of all the pink. That's a really pretty shade. See, wearing all these shimmer shades on the lid is probably not how I would typically wear them, like, you know, multiple ones. I probably would just use the mattes in this palette to create like a nice classic neutral eye and then top one of these over the top, but I was just trying to use as many shades as possible. That's kind of the way I love to do my reviews, at least use each shade once. And then of course I like to revisit palettes later where I can just create looks that I normally would on my own. This is a beautiful palette, but I love these Ethereal Eyes palettes. They're super, super pretty. I wish so much he'd make them permanent. I mean, I get it, they're like his holiday palettes, so he doesn't keep them around, but I think they should be. Now, this shade here is definitely a topper. I mean, like, there's not a lot going on with that shade. So what I'm going to do is take this shade right here on my finger. I feel like this one is going to be very similar to the shade I just applied, but Like I said, if I was just using this palette like normally, I probably wouldn't be using all these shimmers on the lid anyway. I'd probably just using one at a time, but just for the purpose of the review, I'm just trying to see how it would look. So let's apply that right in here. Actually, no, that looks a little bit, well, let me apply it down and then I'll have a good look. No, there is a difference between them. You can tell on the eyes when they're side by side. I don't know if you'll be able to tell or not. I'm hoping you can. I can definitely see in person. They're very similar in depth, but the undertone is definitely much different. See, this actually looks a bit darker, but then also lighter when I'm looking in different mirrors. See, like when I'm looking in this little one, it looks darker. When I'm looking in that one, it looks lighter. So I'm not exactly how it'll come across on camera, but either way, it's beautiful. I will be honest, I usually don't have anything really bad to say about these palettes. It's just a preference thing. If these are palettes that you know you love and enjoy, or you know, if you have something similar to it in your collection, like if you have some of these shades that are much more topper-like, I mean, they still show up beautifully on the eyes, but they're more subtle and they're just more sparkly. But I love them. I love the formula. So what I'm going to try to do is take this shade right here on my finger. I don't know if it'll show up on my inner corner or not, but I'm going to try it out just to see. Because when you swatch it, it's definitely much more, oh no, 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 it shows up beautifully. Ooh, look at that. That's stunning. It just feels a lot more topper than even some of the other sparkles, but no, it's showing up beautifully on that inner corner. Oh, I love that. I'd love to see that all over the lid, so I'm definitely going to be using this palette a lot more. I was just trying to make sure I could give myself enough filming days for the videos I plan on filming, so that's why I'm only doing 2 looks. But I definitely would do more videos on it, I mean, if anybody wanted to see that. Okay, and then I'm going back in with that Sigma brush, and we're just going to go into, actually, you know what, no, let's go into this deepest shade right here. I had planned on using that as liner, but you know what, no, let's just use it on this lower lash line. I only dipped into it once, because I know it's going to be pretty pigmented. And I really tapped off that excess. I'm just going to run that all the way across. Yeah, I mean, even with that one dip, it's still pretty pigmented. Yeah, the 2 shimmer shades on the eyes look very similar. I think there is a very subtle tone difference, but I don't know how well that will come across on camera. But I mean, it just goes down to how you would wear the palette too. See, I wouldn't really be wearing those shades together normally. I would much prefer them to be separate, like just using, like for example, I probably would create a look with these 3, like this in the crease, this in the outer part, maybe that on the lid, and then top one of these shimmers over the top of that. That would be how I would normally wear a palette like this, but having fun here, just trying to use all the shades. But they have all been really beautiful, really easy to work with. I think this is such a stunning look. It's so soft and pretty and just sparkly. I love it. I have to do the rest of my face, my mascara and all that. I haven't done anything other than apply a concealer all over my face as foundation, which I've really been enjoying doing that lately. So let me complete the rest of the face and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is this completed makeup look. I'm wearing the Danessa Myricks Low Lighter in Unbothered. I love this so much. This and that Glossier blush have just become my everything. And for the lips, I'm wearing this NYX Smushy Matte Lip Balm in the shade Swipe Sesh. I think this shade is really, really pretty. I do like it. I will say that I think I prefer the CoverGirl version that's similar to this a little bit. Now, the CoverGirl one is in a bullet lipstick. This is more of like the squeezy tube, which is fine, but I just like the application better on the other one. But they kind of give a similar look on the lips, that kind of soft velvet matte finish, so that's why I wanted to mention it. I do think this is good though. I just like the application better with the CoverGirl one simply because it's just easier just to swipe it on. Okay, so I know that last clip ended at an odd place, but I went straight from that clip into giving my final thoughts on this palette. However, I decided that I wanted to do a third look with this palette after all, for a couple of reasons. One, I just think that it's helpful to include as many looks as possible in a review, but also because I want to continue using it. It's such a beautiful palette and I want to use it at least one more time. I am going to change up one step right here at the beginning because I have really been loving this Makeup by Mario Master Mattes Longwear Cream Eyeshadow. This one's in the shade Sandstone. It's kind of like a pinky peachy kind of tone. I have really been loving this with the Natasha Denona, her eye sculpt palette that she recently released. I just wanted to try it out, especially since I have already showed all of the eyeshadows by themselves on the lid. So I'm going to apply this first. I probably have to tap out some creases here from my eyeshadow primer because I didn't set anything. However, I did set my face, so I'm hoping that no powder accidentally got on the lid because, yeah, this liquid eyeshadow will not work over powder. It did one time when I wore it, but then the next time I tried it, it did not work. So I'm hoping that nothing got on the lid. And then I'm just going to take this Rare Beauty concealer brush and we're just going to apply that all over the lid. Oh yeah, no powder. I don't see it mixing weirdly with any powder, so it must be okay. I didn't want to get any on the lid before I applied this shade down, and you can just see how beautiful that shade is. It's kind of like my skin tone, just with a little bit more of a peachy pinky hue. But I really have been loving it as a base for that other palette, so I just wanted to try it out with this palette. Especially since both are from Makeup by Mario, so let's get rid of the creases over here on this side. You do kind of have to work pretty quickly with these liquid eyeshadows because I find that they dry down very fast. But I will say that while it is beautiful on its own, because I love a shade like that by itself, I do really love it underneath eyeshadow. I think it works really, really well. So on a Sigma E54, I am going to take this shade right here in the palette, and we're going to kind of tap that all over where I applied the liquid eyeshadow. You don't have to do this, I just thought it would be really pretty over the top of that. And if you don't have the liquid eyeshadow, that is no big deal at all. Just follow the rest of the steps. If it was a look you wanted to follow along with, just skip that part. Because if we're being honest, that shade is really not that much darker than my skin tone, but I have been liking it as a nice base. I just really wanted to wear this palette again. I've just really been enjoying it. So I'm sorry for the weird cut off with the video from the second look, because I hadn't planned on filming a third, but I just decided that I wanted to do more. On that same Sigma brush, we're going to go into the shade right here. I just dipped into that shade twice because I know it's incredibly pigmented, and we're going to apply it on this outer half of my lid. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this side. This is a really beautifully pigmented shade, so I just dip in a few times. And then I can always build it up if I need to. Okay, and then on that same Sigma brush, I'm going to take this shade right here. This shade is like a matte with sparkle. I wanted to see how it looked on its own, just on this part of the lid right here. And then I am going to go over this with a different sparkly shade, but I just wanted to see what this looked like by itself. Oh yeah, it's pretty, but the sparkle is very scattered. Like once it's on the lid, it just kind of scatters everywhere. It's not like concentrated. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this shade right here. That was the shade that I applied on that inner corner in yesterday's look, and I want to see it more so on the lid just to see what it does. It's more topper-like than the rest of the shades, so I just wanted to see what it did on its own. Well, I mean, I know it's over the top of that other shade, but that's probably how I would wear it. I just keep going back in and then just tapping it just to build it up some because it's even thinner than the other sparkly shades, but it's very pretty. Yeah, that is really, really pretty. I really like that. So on that same Sigma brush, I'm going to take this shade right here in the palette, and we're going to run that along the lower lash line all the way across. And then back in the palette, I'm going to take this shade right here, and I'm going to pop that right here on this inner corner. And kind of swoop it in here a little bit. Just adds a bit of subtle brightness, not too much, just a little something. And that scattered sparkle, I wish you could see that scattered sparkle in person because it is so pretty. Like when you kind of turn and you just see that pretty soft sparkle, is stunning. Okay, so I'm going to come in a little bit so you can see this look by itself before I go in with some mascara and everything. I think it is so pretty. So I'm going to do the rest of my makeup because I haven't done blush or anything like that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is this completed makeup look. I don't know, I really like this one. I think it's so pretty. Okay, so just what's on the rest of my face. For my blush, I'm wearing the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Lip and Cheek Glow, and this one is in color of Passion. It's this beautiful berry, like almost like a brown berry tone. I've just applied very little of it though because it's extremely pigmented, so I had tapped off a lot of the excess on my hand and then just applied a very small amount of it, but it's really beautiful product. And then on the lips, I'm wearing the Milani Color Fetish Hydrating Lip Stain, and this one is in Bitten Berry. Now, what you're seeing right here is not full swipe. What I like to do with this is take a brush like an eyeshadow brush, tap onto the applicator, like it has an applicator like this right here. Tap the brush on that applicator and then stamp it onto the lips, because for me, when I apply this full swipe with the actual wand, it kind of goes on a little bit patchy, like not very even, so I find that using a brush definitely does help. I had someone tell me that that was the best way to apply it because I remember before talking about it looked kind of patchy, and it definitely does help it. So this is like 2 coats of it, but I think it's a beautiful shade and it goes really beautifully with that blush. Now on to the Ethereal Eyes Nature Palette. This is beautiful. I have loved every single look I've created with it, but I knew that I would, because unless something had went horribly wrong with this palette as far as the formula, I knew it would be a palette that I would enjoy because I do like his other 2 Ethereal Eyes palettes. They're just as equally beautiful. It just goes down to your preference. If this was a palette you were interested in, if you were wanting it, I don't think you'd be disappointed if you went for it because it's so stunning. All of these shades work so beautifully together. They blend out easily, they look stunning on the eyes, and they look beautiful at the end of the day as well. They're just so stunning. And if you are not interested in the palette, that is okay too. Shop your stash. You might have something very similar to this color story in your collection already. It might not be the exact formula, but the shades and the tones, it might be very similar to it, but I'm very happy to have it in my collection. It's stunning. I expected nothing less though from it, and I'm really happy to have it. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I hope you will please consider leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing if you haven't already. And make sure you hit the bell icon so you are alerted to all my future uploads. And follow me on Instagram at jessicadeerly. All these products will be listed and linked for you below. They are affiliate links, so if you click through and purchase, I do earn a small commission. And if you choose to do so, thank you so much for supporting me and my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!